For those of you at home, we are going to rearrange the periodic table today, okay? And that is going to require that you cut it up, and then we're going to tape it and we're going to highlight it. But I thought what would be an easier way for us to do this is for me to make a video showing you how to do it that you can play and pause at your convenience, and then come back together in a little while for us to talk about the significance of what we just did. Okay, so grab your scissors, hit pause anytime you need to. I will also suggest times for you to pause so that you can do the task, and then you'll see how I did it. Okay, so the first thing you're gonna do is the cutting, okay? And so right here, you are going to cut the alkali and alkaline earth metal columns into one piece that looks like, it's really sunny in my room right now, sorry, into one piece that looks like this, okay? You'll notice I cut off the extra space at the top. All right, so this would be a good time for you to pause and cut this out to get a piece that matches like mine, all right? Okay, the next piece you're going to cut out is down here, the lanthanide and actinide group. So you're just gonna cut those rows off the periodic table, okay, so that you have one piece. Again, you'll notice I did cut off the names. I just trimmed around those, okay? So ultimately, your piece should look like this, all right, where you have one long piece that starts, like the column is number 57 and 89, all the way to 71 and 103. Okay, so that is the second piece you need. This is another good time to hit pause and make sure that you are doing what you need to do. Okay, the next piece I'm going to have you cut off is, and you're gonna have to like really be careful here, okay? So do you see where this tall column with boron is next to this smaller column with zinc, okay? You're gonna cut in between those two columns right there. So you're gonna separate those big columns from the shorter columns, okay? So you're gonna cut that off. You can trim around helium, although I will tell you, you are gonna ultimately cut helium off. So you could do it now if you wanted. Just be really, really careful with this square, because if you lose it, especially because you're at home, if you don't have a printer, you're not gonna easily be able to get a second helium, okay? So what you're gonna do is you're gonna get this block. So helium was up here initially. You could trim around it if you want, but you're gonna get this whole block, like boron through neon, all the way down to, I don't even know what that's called, neomium to, I can't even see the name. Number 118, we'll go with number 118, okay? So 113 to 118. So you're gonna get that whole square. It's okay for now if you leave helium on top of that square, but if you want to, you can cut it off, just set it aside. Okay, so this is a good place to pause and do that. All right, and then lastly, you are going to trim what's left. So what you should have left on your periodic table are these shorter columns in the middle, okay? And so you are going to cut those out, but you do need to cut off those white squares that are underneath yttrium, which is number 39, okay? So make sure to cut those out so that you have that little space there. And so when all is said and done, you guys, you should have 5 pieces. So before you throw away any scraps, organize yourself, get your 5 pieces, and make sure that you know where everything is. So you have your alkali earth metals, you have your lanthanides and actinides, the boron block, right? That square, it's like a 6 by 6. The short ones in the middle, and then you also have helium, okay? So take a minute, pause it again, make sure you have those 5 pieces, throw away your scraps so that you're organized, and get your tape, because that's gonna be the part we do next. So for taping, I recommend that you cut off a big piece of tape that then you break into strips as needed, because some strips you need are going to be really small, and then other ones are going to be longer. Okay. The other big piece of advice I have for you, and it's really important that you listen, is that you tape on the back. Okay. Because we're going to highlight these when we're done taping. And if you put the tape on the front, you're not going to be able to highlight over that part where the tape is. So I put the tape on the back. So right now I want to do helium because I don't want to lose it. So that's going to be the first one I do. I just put my tape like halfway across the back of helium. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that alkali and alkaline earth metals. So look, helium's number 2. We're going to tape it directly next to hydrogen, which is number 1. Okay, and so you're going to now have like a nice square that looks like this. Okay, next. Now you're going to take your lanthanides and actinides, which are numbers 57 and 89, and you're going to line them up at the bottom of the alkaline earth metals next to numbers 56 and 88. And you are going to tape that again on the back. So I'm going to put my tape on the back of that group. Okay. And then I'm going to put that on top of the tape and line up the numbers. And here we go. Okay. So now you have those two taped together. All right. Now, next piece, pay attention. You're going to take the short columns. Okay. And then watch how this works. These two over here are going to fit in perfectly right there and be lined up with the proper numbers. So 71 is going to go next to 72, and 103 is going to go next to 104, and you're going to tape on the back. All right, so take a minute, do that. I'm taping mine, okay? And here is what it looks like, okay? And then your very last piece that you should have is the big block. And if you've caught on now, you're lining up the numbers. So put 30 next to number 31, okay? So zinc should be next to gallium. And when you have your numbers lined up, and they should be lined up at the bottom, just so you know. So your top 2 rows won't have anything next to them because you're lining up at the bottom. So once you have that lined up, you can tape, and then just double check your work, and then get your highlighters. You're going to need 4 different colors of highlighters. That would be ideal. You can also use colored pencils. We're just going to color 4 different sections. You don't want to use markers because like for markers that might be too dark, we're going to have to write on this periodic table in a little while. And if the marker's too dark, it's hard to see. Okay, so this is a good time to pause the video, finish your taping, get your highlighters or colored pencils you're going to use. So choose a color that you're going to use first. It doesn't matter what it is. Our colors don't have to match. It's just important that we all have 4 different sections, okay? I chose pink, and so this is what mine looks like, okay? So my first section that I colored is the alkali and alkaline earth metals. So those are my 2 columns all the way over on the left, okay? So choose a color and color these 2 columns in that color, but so that you can still read the information in there. Now choose your second color, okay? And we want to be really careful when we're doing this, because if we color something with the wrong color, it's kind of hard to undo that when it's a highlighter. So pay attention. For my second color, I'm choosing yellow, okay? And what I did, and this is what you need to do too, is I used yellow at the far end of my boundary, which is number 70 and 102. So go find number 70 and 102, okay? And then what you're gonna do, and I'll do a bad job really quickly, and then I'll show you the finished product, okay? Is you're gonna use that same color. So this is like the far right border. Okay, you're gonna color all the squares between your first color and that border in the color that you just selected. Okay, so that should cover numbers 57 through 70 and numbers 89 through 102. So here's what your second color should look like when you're finished, okay? Now you want to find your third color. I'm choosing orange. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna create that boundary again. This time we're coloring all the short columns. So taking orange, I'm going to color the column that has like zinc and cadmium, mercury. Okay, so we're number like 30, 48. All right, so give me a minute. Let me color mine and show you. Okay, so here's that column, right? You can see that that's the last short column. And everything to the left of that, I'm going to color orange. So, you know, this is a good time for you to pause, color that third area. So here's what your third area should look like. Okay, and you can see, you guys, I've kind of gone outside the lines. I'm not the world's best colorer, so it's okay. It doesn't have to be perfect. Then select your fourth color, and you're gonna color this whole block, that fourth color, okay? So pause it and get that done, and then we'll meet back on here. Okay, and then you have your fourth group that looks like this, all right? Okay, now you need to grab a pen. So pause the video if you need to grab a pen. You wanna grab one that you'll be able to see, like choose a darker color like black or something. Okay, what we're gonna do now is we're gonna write on the back of this. Okay, so it's important that you pay attention. On the back of your first section, so mine was pink, that's the alkali and alkali earth metals, you're gonna put an S, okay? So I wrote an S on the back of that section. Then on the next section, so the one with the long rows like that, you're gonna write an F. F as in Frank, or fun, or friends. There you go, F. Okay, then on your third section, so for mine it's the orange, I'm gonna put a D as in dog, okay? D as in dog, see, there you go. And finally, on the last section, you're gonna put a P as in proton, okay? A P as in proton. All right, now we're gonna have to write some numbers, so pay attention. You're gonna write them in the box here, okay? And you need to follow along. Make sure you're listening and only doing it as I go along. So in hydrogen's box, you're gonna put a 1. I know there's already a 1 in there. I want you to write another 1. So do you see my little 1 right there? Okay, then in lithium, a 2. And if you want, you can wait to see me do all of them. In sodium, a 3, potassium, a 4, rubidium, a 5, cesium, a 6, francium, a 7. So in my first section here, going all the way down, starting with hydrogen, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay? All right, now, the lights went out in my room. Okay, going to my next section, and again, make sure you're paying attention because the numbers are going to change. In this, in LA, I'm going to put a 4. In AC, I'm going to put a 5, okay? So a 4 and a 5. All right, see how I did that? Okay, going to the next section. So in SC, I'm gonna put a 3, then a 4, then a 5, then a 6. So starting with the number 3, then go down 4, 5, 6. Okay, see how that works? 3, 4, 5, 6. And then lastly with B, so starting in my last section, you're gonna start with number 2. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So in boron, put a 2, aluminum a 3, gallium a 4, indium a 5, thallium a 6, and that one I can't pronounce, a 7. Okay, so that's what you do. All right, that is how we are rearranging the periodic table. We are going to discuss together on Zoom what all of this actually means so that you understand how it relates. But I'm sure you could figure out from the letters, right? Where have we seen the letters S, F, D, and P before? Think about that before you come back to Zoom. All right, thank you.